didn't fall? Inconceivable.
You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Jonathan Hickman, a Marvel Comics X-Men reboot, was front and center at San Diego Comic-Con. While X-Men dominated most of the comic book headlines, Marvel did announce a handful of other new series for future release. I'm going to run them all down and provide my very preliminary knee-jerk reactions to each announcement. Keep in mind, the information is very limited at this time. According to comicbook.com, Marvel shocked many fans of cosmic characters when it shared a teaser image featuring everyone's favorite cosmic bad boy, Annihilus. The teaser artwork, drawn by Venom Space Knight alum Ariel Olivetti, shows Annihilus perched on a space rock as ominous text reads, "Annihilation was only the beginning." The teaser was also shown to retailers participating in Marvel's Retailer Summit lunch at San Diego Comic-Con, though any further details were not available. All we know is whatever the project will end up hitting shelves in November. There's been some speculation that rising Marvel star Donny Cates could be involved in the project after the writer retweeted the news earlier today with a curious emoji. Cates has suddenly found himself acting as the architect of the Marvel Cosmic Tales of late, penning both the current Guardians of the Galaxy volume on top of the critically acclaimed Silver Surfer Black. Then the writer will soon be front and center with this cosmic adjacent Absolute Carnage event featuring alien symbiotes, Carnage, Venom, and the like. The initial Annihilation event first debuted in 2006 from Keith Giffen and Andrea DeVito, considered by many to be the peak of Marvel cosmic stories. The initial event included a main series and a handful of companion mini-events, including Annihilation Silver Surfer, Annihilation Nova, and Annihilation Ronin. It was then followed by Annihilation Conquest, which led to one of the most formative runs of Nova yet. On top of that, the series featured the creation of the Guardians of the Galaxy, used as the inspiration for the Marvel Studios live-action franchise. It's not clear if November's Annihilation series is another event, standalone series, or if Annihilus himself arrives in the pages of Guardians of the Galaxy. I imagine it's a new miniseries helmed by Donny Cates. I find this project extremely interesting. Marvel Comics superstar Cates thrives in their cosmic universe. Annihilus is an exciting character to help flesh out Cates' Marvel Cosmic. Donny Cates led Thanos, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Death of the Inhumans in electrifying fashion. His current work on Guardians of the Galaxy and Silver Surfer Black is among the best in all of Marvel Comics today. I'll be very interested to learn his visual collaborator. As Cates' industry star continues rising, I expect top-flight artists are lining up to work with him. Tradmore's Silver Surfer Black visuals are very high quality, even if they are admittedly not to my taste. I'm very enthusiastic. It appears Donny Cates is adding Annihilus to his expanding cosmic portfolio. This is a must-read project in my book. Den of Geek reports Marvel announced Nick Spencer will be returning to the 2099 timeline, although the form this story will take has yet to be revealed, whether it be miniseries, event, or a 2099 imprint relaunch. What we do know is this 2099 builds out of a moment from one of Spencer's many cliffhangers in Amazing Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man 25 was filled with various developments that will branch off to different stories. There's a Mysterio arc, Doctor Strange team-up, and Sinister Syndicate storyline on the way. The biggest eye-opener is a short scene of a college lecture about how all major advancements in Marvel's modern universe will one day cause massive destruction in the future. Elsewhere, we see a time rift open in the sky as a meteor-like object impacts the ground. When the smoke clears, we see the impact was in fact caused by an unconscious Spider-Man 2099. As that happens, the professor notes, the future is dying. What does this mean? I guess we'll find out in the months to come. What is Marvel 2099, you ask? Back in the 90s, the Marvel 2099 imprint was a bit of a fad that lasted for a few years, but eventually wore out its welcome. It had all sorts of titles that were based on what writers in the extreme 90s figured the Marvel Universe would look like in another 100 years. We got ridiculously over-the-top Punisher, a cybernetic Ghost Rider, Doctor Doom as the President of the United States, and most importantly, Miguel O'Hara as that era's Spider-Man. A year ago, I wouldn't have considered supporting this project, no matter the form it takes. Amazing Spider-Man writer Nick Spencer has done admirable work rehabbing his image after insulting customers and their personal beliefs, as well as the calamity following this Hydra Cap nonsense. Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man is one of the few well-written books at Marvel Comics today. He's also been far less antagonistic towards readers. I'm not sure how to feel about 2099 Spider-Man arriving in the current Marvel timeline. Marvel's overuse of time travel plot devices is beyond tiresome at this point. My best guess is he's arriving in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, but I wouldn't put it past Marvel to launch a 100th concurrent Spider-Man ongoing or miniseries. I recently dropped Amazing Spider-Man due to the premium cover price attached to issue 25. I'm personally tired of being CB Cebulski and his legion of doofuses' personal ATM for fake milestone issues. If 2099 arrives in Amazing Spider-Man, as I suspect, I'll skip it. If it's a new miniseries, I'll probably check out the first issue at least. Nick Spencer's been pretty consistent of late, and the premise is intriguing. The Hollywood Reporter states, during a retailer presentation at San Diego Comic-Con on Friday afternoon, it was announced that Halt and Catch Fire co-creator Christopher Cantwell will be writing an ongoing Doctor Doom comic book series launching later this year, illustrated by Star Wars and Invincible Iron Man artist Salvador Larroca. The new series will seek to redefine the beloved Fantastic Four villain as Victor Von Doom finds himself left without traditional support structure, an army of obedient robots, a loving kingdom, and a brotherhood of fellow villains, when he's accused of being responsible for an act of mass terrorism that leaves thousands dead. After a period of attempting to be a hero in the absence of Tony Stark, could this latest shock be the event that will change Doctor Doom's life for good? Victor Von Doom, scientist, sorcerer, disfigured face, twisted soul, has been spending much of his time warning against a $1 trillion global effort to create the first artificial black hole, reads Marvel's solicitation. Wrestling with visions of an entirely different life, a better future, Doctor Doom finds himself at a crossroads. What is he questioning? A catastrophic act of terrorism kills thousands, and the prime suspect is Doom. Victor will have to push his unexplained thoughts aside and focus on remaining alive as the title of Most Wanted Man is thrust upon him. Left with no homeland, no armies, no allies, indeed nothing at all, will the reign of Doctor Doom come to an abrupt halt. I think Doctor Doom is one of the best villains in fiction, period. I'm not as enamored as some, with ongoing attempts to reframe him as something closer to an anti-hero. I'm not personally too familiar with Christopher Cantwell's work, but Salvador Larroca is a solid artist, especially by Marvel Comics standards. That being said, I'm not particularly drawn in by the series description, but I am a huge fan of the character. In the end, a series starring Victor Von Doom has potential in nearly any form. The reference to terrorism in solicitations is concerning, but I'll be supporting Doctor Doom as long as it's not woke Marvel garbage. According to Newsarama, hot off the heels of her return to the spotlight, literally in Amazing Spider-Man 25, Mary Jane Watson is announced to be starring in her own solo title for Marvel Comics. Announced during a retailer event at Comic-Con International, San Diego, The Amazing Mary Jane, ongoing written by Leah Williams and artist Carlos Gomez, will pick up that storyline and this new connection with Mysterio. The webhead's favorite redhead, and yours, is taking a chance on her dreams. But if you've read Amazing Spider-Man 25, you'll know Mysterio is behind Mary Jane's big shot, and someone worse is behind him, reads Marvel's description of the first issue. What's real and what's illusion? What's illusion and what's Hollywood phoniness? Easily the least exciting news to break at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm personally not opposed to reading a Lois Lane or Mary Jane comic book, but the creative teams and series premise have to be pitch perfect. Leah Williams is the least competent writer at Marvel Comics, and possibly in the entire comic industry. Her name alone makes any character or title must-pass material, in my opinion. Finally, Newsarama reports Marvel's Red Goblin rides again in a new one-shot coming later this year, as announced during a retailer event during Comic-Con International San Diego. Writers Pat Gleason, Rob Fee, and Sean Ryan are all writing stories for this anthology, with artists to include former DC exclusive Pete Woods. Dead is the New Red. In order to finally destroy Spider-Man once and for all, Norman Osborn joined himself with the Carnage symbiote, becoming the Red Goblin. Reads Marvel's description of the series. Here at last are the stories of the Red Goblin's reign of madness and mayhem. So grab your greatest Goblin gear and rend your raiments red, for the Red Goblin rides again. The Red Goblin was introduced in the final issue of Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man run in 2018 as a new iteration of Norman Osborn, made by mixing the Goblin formula with the Carnage symbiote. In comic books, Osborn's grandson Normie eventually took on the Red Goblin mantle himself, but later segued to being known as Goblin Child. From most accounts, Dan Slott's run on Amazing Spider-Man was a dumpster fire filled with ineptitude and a million terrible ideas. Right until the end. Not only was Slott's exit cheered by readers, but he went out in style. The final creation of his less than stellar decade on Amazing Spider-Man, Red Goblin, is an excellent character. I'm also a big fan of recent DC import Patrick Gleason. It's disappointing he's not providing any art, but his writing is good as well. I'm also a big supporter of one-shot stories. Not every plot needs to be stretched out over 100 pages for trades. Red Goblin, Red Death is an anthology book, which isn't totally ideal for me, but I dig enough of the names attached to the book, and the characters plenty interesting for me to support it as long as the cover price is reasonable for the page count. A growing problem for Marvel Comics these days. That's all the information and my knee-jerk reactions to Marvel Comics' newest books not in the X-Men universe. There are some no-doubters and one insta-pass. Annihilus arriving in Donny Cates' Marvel Cosmic Playground is gonna be epic. I'll check out Spider-Man 2099 if it's a miniseries. If the character only appears in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, I'll skip it. I'm tired of Marvel fleecing me with fake milestone issues. The premise of Doctor Doom is a bit suspect, but I love the character and will be a customer. It takes a great idea and creative team to convince me to support titles led by supporting characters. Leah Williams is likely the worst writer in all of comics. Amazing Mary Jane will be terrible. The end. Finally, Red Goblin may have been created by Marvel's resident buffoon Dan Slott, but the character is still cool, and I like enough of the names attached to Red Goblin, Red Death to buy the upcoming one-shot anthology as long as the cover price is right. That probably wraps up my coverage of San Diego Comic-Con 2019. I honestly expected more exciting news rolling out, but I think Marvel knew their MCU Phase 4 announcement would drown most anything else out. Thank you so much for tuning in to Thinking Critical today, and I hope you join me for my next video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.